Advanced persistent threat attacks. What are these now, Nandita ma'am?
These are phases when some intruders attack your system with advanced technology that they possess. It would be interesting to note the pattern Advanced Persistent Threats, shortly called APTs. The first action by this type of cyber attack is to infiltrate and compromise the computer, which is a part of the target organization network. Any of the methods such as phishing emails, social engineering attacks, exploiting application vulnerability, or the zero-day vulnerability is used to bypass the defenses in the network. Having arrived on the scene, it reports to its master back home, which is the command and control, which is shortly known as CNC server. The attacker lies low for some time to avoid detection. The target computer works as the launchpad for this attack and remains on the lookout to attack the host network from inside, and thus APT ultimately compromises the entire network of the organization. It deploys additional tools to fulfill its goal of extracting data. On identifying the desired data, it establishes access point to steal the data. The attacker begins to send the data back to its master. Like a thief who has reached the treasury containing jewels and gold, the attacker is very careful and plans his exfiltration very discreetly. Data is encrypted, as it does not alarm the tools deployed inside the network to prevent the data loss and sent out in batches to avoid detection due to anomalous behavior. A smart thief always covers his tracks, and a host is often made on a cloud-based staging area where the stolen data temporarily resides. The data is finally extracted and moved out to an unknown location. The temporary staging area is destroyed. The evidence of the APT attack is removed so as to leave no traces or signs of the attack. The network continues to remain compromised, and the attacker can return again at his will. This advanced persistent threat, or better known as APT, is a broad term used to describe an attack campaign in which an intruder or team of intruders establishes an illicit long-term presence on a network in order to mine highly sensitive data. The target of these assaults, which are very carefully chosen and researched, typically include large enterprises or governmental networks. The consequences of such intrusions are vast and include intellectual property theft, which means extracting data from trading organizations or agencies related to trade organizations. They compromised sensitive information like pilfering into employee and user private data. After that, they try to sabotage critical organizational infrastructure. For example, they try to delete database. Then they try to take the total site. Executing an APT assault requires more resources than a standard web application attack. The perpetrators are usually teams of experienced cyber criminals having substantial financial backing. Some APT attacks are government-funded and used as cyber warfare weapons. APT attacks differ from traditional web application threats. In that factor, they are significantly more complex. They are not hit-and-run attacks. Once a network is infiltrated, the perpetrator remains in order to attain as much information as possible. They are manually executed and not automated against a specific mark and indiscriminately launched against a large pool of targets. They often aim to infiltrate an entire network as opposed to one specific part. More common attacks such as remote file inclusion or simply referred to as RFI, SQL injection and cross-site scripting, which is also known as XSS, are frequently used by perpetrators to establish a foothold in a targeted network. Next, Trojans and backdoor shells are often used to expand the foothold and create a persistent presence within the targeted perimeter.
How can organizations mitigate APT attacks?
Apparently, these organizations target unsuspectful organizations and infiltrate their systems.